A year into the global pandemic, all hopes of seeing a French-made vaccine against COVID-19 are on this firm. Valneva is a Franco-Austrian biotech based in Western France. Its vaccine candidate uses a traditional technology already used in the jab against the flu.
Very quickly, we decided to use an inactivated virus to complement other technologies developed, including mRNA, live vaccines, and viral vector vaccines. We chose this technology because it's well known and safe. It can be used for pregnant women, children, and elderly people.
But there's a catch. Once approved, the first doses won't be delivered to France nor Europe, but to the UK, the first country to have supported the project.
The UK was the first to show interest in our vaccine because they believed in the technology, the inactivated virus, but also because some of our production lines are in Scotland. Naturally, they were interested in boosting that factory and very quickly made a financial offer. What's missing here in France and in Europe are sizable venture capital funds. We would need to have 20 to 30 funds like in the United States that operate in the health sector and can place bets, take risks and fund the last stages of clinical trials so that biotech companies can go all the way, remain independent and make sure that their products hit the market.
A situation that has already pushed some of the most brilliant French scientists to move abroad, like Stéphane Bancel, who heads the US-based biotech Moderna. But the lack of investment is not the only force slowing innovation. Pharma giants, too, are struggling to stay competitive.
For decades in France, politicians from across the board have asked pharmaceutical companies to pay for a huge part of the country's deficit linked to national health insurance. This forces the companies to find cheaper ways to manufacture their products, and they turn to Ireland, Scotland, or further outside of Europe, like India. There's already a brain drain, and now we're letting our industrial know-how escape us as well. It's dreadful.
Several weeks ago, France's Pasteur Institute decided to drop its most promising candidate based on the measles vaccine because of its lack of efficacy. The research institute says bad luck was to blame.
A number of technologies are worth testing in the midst of a global pandemic. Some will be effective, others won't. The lack of effectiveness of vaccines can be linked to the design of the antigen. Maybe our design was different from others. Maybe it wasn't right. I don't know.
The Pasteur Institute is criticized for having made a safe bet instead of favoring partnerships with startups specialized in cutting-edge technologies. It also suffers from a structural weakness when it comes to clinical trials. It is specialized in fundamental research and lacks preclinical production capabilities.
We can ask ourselves why Moderna started its clinical trials in March 2020, why Oxford started in April, why we only started in August. Oxford, for instance, have manufacturing facilities, so they don't have to rely on another company to produce preclinical batches, meaning they can move forward faster.
The Pasteur Institute is still working on 2 other vaccine projects. Sanofi is also still in the race. The French pharmaceutical company had come under fierce criticism last May after announcing the US would get first access to their future vaccine. This after the French firm secured a $2.1 billion grant from the US federal agency BARDA. Sanofi announced in December a delay in their program, but they are to restart phase 2 of their clinical trial. And according to this expert, they still have time to make a comeback.
The race to develop a vaccine isn't over because there are two important issues here. First, we need to vaccinate the entire world population. So we need to develop more affordable vaccines for countries that can't buy them and make sure they can be transported easily. The second issue is the fact that new variant strains are appearing and could be resistant to current vaccines.
Pfizer, BioNTech, Oxford, AstraZeneca, and Valneva all are confident they'll be able to update their vaccine to neutralize new strains of COVID-19. Proof, if needed, that this race to develop a jab is looking more like a marathon than a sprint.